My best friend and I were transported into a cultivation novel, forced to romance the male lead and the villain. To survive, she entangled herself desperately with the aloof male lead, while I fought and loved the villain. On the day we succeeded, we discovered the book was called The Little Junior Sister. The group's beloved Lucky Koi, the protagonist, was the little junior sister who had just joined the sect yesterday. According to the setting, everyone would fall in love with the junior sister, including the male lead and the antagonist. My best friend looked at me. Successfully completing the mission rewards ascension. Will you ascend? I nodded. If you ascend, I ascend. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful stories every day. Now the story begins. So we abandoned the male lead and the antagonist, and resolutely ascended. During our 200 years of indulging in food, drink, and fun in the upper realm, we managed to flirt with every handsome male cultivator we came across. We heard that 2 exceptionally handsome male cultivators had newly arrived in the lower realm. We rushed over in a hurry, but after getting a clear look at their faces, we turned and ran back frantically. Wait, how did they manage to track us down? Wen Yun, have you been feeling off lately? My best friend Xiaoqiu asked me while munching on a spirit fruit. My husband has been leaving early and returning late lately, saying the sect is busy recruiting new disciples, but I always feel like he's hiding something from me. Hearing her mention this, I also found myself lost in thought. My demon lord has been acting quite mysterious lately. He used to want to keep me by his side at all times, but recently he's started avoiding me. Could it be that he's feeling weak? But considering Pei Mo's usual high-intensity workouts, even if there's any kidney deficiency, it would be me, definitely not him. Maybe we're overthinking it. My best friend shook her head. Even the system has confirmed our success in the strategy. So what's there to worry about? I nodded. That's true. My best friend pushed a large plate of spirit fruits toward me and placed a large bag of top-grade spirit stones on the table. I got these from Lan Feng. Spend them as you like. She knew that following the demon lord meant I often endured hardships, braving wind and rain, so she always found ways to support me. I also took out a handful of top-grade spirit beast bones from my pocket. I took these from Pei Mo's storage bag. You can use them for alchemy. She needs these the most for her daily cultivation. My best friend and I exchanged a moved glance. Everything was understood without words. I'm heading back to the sect first. Xiaoqiu packed her things and gave me a reluctant look. Yesterday the elder came to me and said I should prepare accommodations for the new junior sister. I won't be going shopping with you. I was a bit disappointed. What kind of junior sister is she that you, the senior sister, have to personally attend to her? Xiaoqiu shrugged. I heard her name is Ling Yaroa. I can't quite remember her background. Hearing this name, I felt a bit dazed for a moment. What? Do you know him? I rubbed my head. It sounds a bit familiar, but I can't remember. Xiaoqiu said. Don't worry, I'll come see you again next week, if you miss me. Just use the communication talisman to chat. I laughed. The communication talismans that cost 3 mid-grade spirit stones each outside are being used by my bestie just for chatting. What's the difference between that and passing notes with banknotes? With her interruption, I couldn't be bothered to keep thinking. Not long after Xiaoqiu left, I started to feel bored, so I opened my telepathic connection to see what Pei Mo was up to. Ever since Pei Mo and I became cultivation partners, we've been able to share each other's 5 senses. This ability is way too convenient for that pervert Pei Mo, especially during certain moments. He uses it several times almost every day, but in the past few days, he hasn't used it at all, and I'm really curious about what he's been so busy with. As soon as I turned on the sensor, I heard a sweet, cloying voice whispering in my ear. Brother Pei Mo, do you really not like me? Then came Pei Mo's hoarse voice, tinged with a hint of laughter. We've only just met. The girl's voice was charmingly playful, but I feel like I've known Brother Pei Mo for a very, very long time. Brother Pei Mo, do you think we might have known each other in a past life? Pei Mo chuckled softly but said nothing. On the other hand, I couldn't bring myself to smile. Pei Mo, the bloodthirsty and tyrannical demon lord, could he really let out such an enchanting laugh? When we first met, it took us decades of chasing and fighting each other before we could finally sit down and have a proper conversation. This damn guy. I gritted my teeth. Even now, I only hear that bewitching laugh of his occasionally, when he's clinging to me on the bed. Before I could even think it through, I felt Pei Mo's hand being taken. The girl's soft little hand held his wrist and wrote a few words in his palm. Ling Yaroa, this is my name. Brother Pei Mo, you must not forget it. My brain suddenly crashed. I finally remembered. I had read a novel called The Little Junior Sister, the koi fish group's darling. The female lead was named Ling Yaroa. Because the female lead was set to be a heartthrob, every man in the world who saw her would be captivated by her cuteness and kindness. I couldn't get through more than a few chapters, so I never saw the male lead or the villain appear, and naturally, I had no idea that my best friend and I had transmigrated into this book. I quickly sent a voice message to my best friend. Do you remember this book? You've read it too. Back then, I thought the setting was too bizarre, and thinking that I shouldn't be the only one suffering from my strain, I immediately sent the book title to my best friend. My best friend was stunned for a few seconds, then she caught on. Holy crap, that's the book I spent $9 on to read as a member. Now we were completely certain Ling Yaowa was not only the female lead of this book, but also the world's favorite child of destiny. After a moment of silence, I asked, so what are you going to do about it? Xiao Qiu thought for a moment and said, I'll ask Lan Feng later. He's been leaving early and returning late these past 2 days. It might be because of Ling Yaowa. I asked instead, if it really is because of her, what do you plan to do? Xiao Qiu said seriously, to be honest, I've developed some feelings for Lan Feng. You and Pei Mo have too, right? I silently agreed. My best friend continued, but if they are truly destined to fall in love with Ling Yaowa, it's not too late for us to back out now. The reward for a successful strategy is ascension. You received the reward on your end too, right? When the time comes, will you choose to ascend to the upper realm? I said firmly, if you ascend, I ascend. Xiao Qiu seemed to have found her anchor, her voice growing even more resolute. Alright, wait for my news. You should also ask around on your end. Just after sending the message, Pei Mo returned. The scent of cliff cypress on him always felt so invasive. The moment he stepped into the cave dwelling, I knew it was him. It was tolerable before, but after we shared our senses, almost as soon as he appeared, his aura would instantly envelop me. When Yoon, he called out, opening his arms to me. At times like this, I would usually rush into his embrace and then rummage through his storage pouch to see what treasures he had brought back from the hunt. But today, I stood 2 meters away from him. I looked at him, as distant as the first time we met. When Yoon, his voice carried a hint of confusion, and those beautiful crimson pupils narrowed slightly. I said softly, next time you come back, make sure to wash off the scent of other women first. Damn bastard, tainted with a sweet floral scent that doesn't belong to him. Pei Mo's eyes flickered, quickly guessing that I had sensed Ling Yaowa's presence through shared perception. He let out another light laugh. Are you jealous? Our way of being in a relationship has always involved a lot of playful banter. But things are different now. I'm not in the mood to joke around with him. Pei Mo, I'm not jealous, I just want an answer. How do you feel about that Ling Yaowa? I couldn't be bothered to hide it or beat around the bush, so I just came right out and asked the question that was on my mind. Only silence answered me. I have spent a century with that scoundrel Pei Mo, and he has almost no secrets from me. After becoming cultivation partners, he has been utterly obedient to me and never once deceived me. But now, he remained silent for a long time in response to my question. I think I already have my answer. I slowly let out a sigh of relief. Fine, in that case. I don't have to feel guilty about my impending departure without saying goodbye. If a first encounter with a stranger could make Pei Mo waver in his feelings for us, then this relationship isn't worth keeping. Without a hint of reluctance, I turned to leave, but Pei Mo grabbed my wrist. When Yoon, he called out to me. Before I could react, he abruptly pulled me into his embrace, pressing me tightly against his chest, while his other hand held the back of my neck, forcing me to look up. A familiar scent enveloped me, and my body almost instinctively grew feverish, but the moment his lips descended, I turned my head and avoided his kiss. My breathing was a bit ragged, but I stubbornly stared into his vertical pupils, my voice trembling slightly. Let me go. Pei Mo grinned like a rogue. No. I quickly drew my dagger and stabbed him hard in the waist. He grunted, then let out a low laugh. Feels good. Do it again. I almost forgot. We used to flirt like this all the time when we first met. The mix of love's hormones and the thrill of death is truly irresistible. Too bad. I don't want to play along with him anymore. Pei Mo, what do you take me for? Your pet? I asked calmly. You know my character better than anyone. I don't compromise. I don't yield. From the moment I met you until now, I have never changed. The smile in Pei Mo's eyes gradually faded. The next second, his grip slowly loosened. I quickly turned and left without stopping, afraid that Pei Mo would come to his senses and chase after me. By then, it will be too late to leave. When I rushed to the Lingxian sect and found Xiao Qiu, she was sitting dazedly in the herb garden, with a full bag of spirit fruits beside her. Xiao Qiu, what's wrong? I shook her worriedly. Xiao Qiu slowly turned her head and, seeing it was me, threw her arms around me as her tears burst forth. When Yun, he gave the spirit fruit I grew to Ling Yaroa. He knew full well how hard I worked to grow that spirit fruit. It only bears fruit once every 10 years, and I only share it with the two of you, and he actually gave it to someone completely unrelated. It turned out that Ling Yaroa had just come to Xiaoqiu with a bag of spirit fruits, holding Xiaoqiu's arm. She sweetly thanked her, saying, "If it weren't for Brother Lanfeng giving them to me, I wouldn't have known there were such delicious spirit fruits in the world." Xiaoqiu cried for a while. After calming down, we all realized that it might be time to leave. She composed herself and took a deep breath. We need to endure 10 heavenly tribulations to claim the ascension reward, although the system will help us get through it, to avoid harming innocent people. We must find a remote place. In the end, we decided to go to the most desolate Tianyu mountain. Before setting off, I asked Xiaoqiu, "Are you really not going to say goodbye to Lanfeng?" Xiaoqiu lowered her gaze. "Forget it, let it be, there's nothing more to say." She then looked at me. "What about you? If you leave without saying goodbye, that lunatic Pei Mo might do something crazy." I smiled. "You know he's a madman. If I dared to say I wanted to leave, we definitely wouldn't be able to go. Pei Mo is utterly insane. Before meeting me, he was merely cruel and bloodthirsty. After meeting me, he developed a terrifying need for control and possession. Over the years of being together, I used my actions and promises to show him, I will not change my heart, I will not leave, but on the condition that he doesn't change. When our hearts were connected, I could see this possessiveness and desire for control as part of love, and I would patiently respond to him and correct him. But now, it only holds me back." We exchanged a glance, and without hesitation, turned and ran toward Tianyu Mountain. We deliberately avoided Lanfeng and Pei Mo's usual routes on our way to Tianyu Mountain, but we unfortunately ran into Ling Yaroa, or rather, she had been waiting here all along. She sat on a tree branch with an innocent and carefree expression, swinging her legs. "You are so beautiful. No wonder Brother Pei Mo and Brother Lanfeng are so devoted to you. If only I hadn't shown up, you would have been so happy, right Tilda?" Xiaoqiu's face darkened, and she immediately cast a talisman. Ling Yaroa did not dodge, allowing the crimson flames brought by the talisman to leave marks on her fair, delicate face. A sly glint flashed in her eyes. "Is this the talisman Brother Lanfeng gave you? Do you think Brother Lanfeng will guess it was you who hurt me when he sees my injuries?" I could no longer hold back and directly threw out the magical artifact refined by Pei Mo. "Brother, brother, brother all day long, are you going to lay an egg?" The magical artifact given by Pei Mo was naturally a sure-kill move the moment it was unleashed. Ling Yaroa could no longer stay calm. Her face changed color as she shrieked and dodged. "You dare to kill me? Do you have any idea what the consequences will be?" Xiaoqiu also summoned her magical weapon and chased after her. "I don't care what the consequences are, we're leaving anyway, let's have some fun first." Unexpectedly, upon hearing this, a glint of sharpness flashed in Ling Yaroa's eyes. "Are you leaving?" She suddenly took out the treasure of the Lingxian sect, the sect's most prized artifact, and blocked our attacks. "If I had known you were going to leave, I wouldn't have bothered dragging this out with you." Ling Yaroa lifted her chin like a victor, looking at us with disdain. "It seems you won't have the chance to see them fall madly in love with me." Seeing that expression on her face made my hands itch, and I was about to continue hitting her, but Xiaoqiu tugged at my sleeve. "Let's go quickly." I suddenly realized that we need to seize the moment to ascend, otherwise, once Pei Mo comes to his senses, he will definitely come after me. I glanced at Ling Yaroa, and the resentment from earlier vanished without a trace. I curled my lips in a half-smile, half-sneer. "A lucky koi, the group's favorite. I sure hope you live up to that title." Ling Yaroa's face instantly darkened. We paid no more attention to her and turned to head toward Tianyu Mountain. There was another reason we chose Tianyu Mountain. The spiritual energy here is of the purest and most yang nature. Any demonic cultivator approaching Tianyu Mountain would be repelled by the spiritual energy here, as if countless ants were gnawing at their entire body. Although I am not a demonic cultivator, having spent a century with Pei Mo, I have also been tainted by the aura around him. Every step I take on Tianyu Mountain is exceptionally difficult. Xiaoqiu looks at me with worry in her eyes, supporting me while channeling spiritual energy into me. "Does it hurt a lot?" I gritted my teeth and smiled. "I can still hold on." The more it hurt, the more at ease I felt. If just being tainted by demonic energy could cause me such agony, then Tianyu Mountain must be like an incinerator to Pei Mo. That way, it's even more impossible for him to get close to here. An hour later, Xiaoqiu and I finally reached the summit of Tianyu Mountain. "Let's begin." Xiaoqiu and I simultaneously pressed the button to claim the reward. Reward redemption successful. Fierce winds swept across the distant dark clouds, gathering and surging as the thunder tribulation was about to begin, but at that very moment, Xiaoqiu's expression changed abruptly, pointing into the distance, her voice filled with disbelief. "Wen Yun, is that your Pei Mo?" I turned my head sharply to see a black blur streaking through the vast expanse of heaven and earth. The heavenly domain mountain sensed the intrusion of that arrogant demonic aura, its strands of spiritual energy transforming into semi-solid sword qi. Stabbing toward the pitch-black shadow, hundreds of sword qi pierced through the shadow all at once, emerging from the other side and bringing with them countless arcs of splattering black-red blood. Yet the shadow's speed did not falter in the slightest. Xiaoqiu looked with pity. "Doesn't it hurt him?" Xiaoqiu had never felt the pain brought by the spiritual energy of Tianyu Mountain, but I had personally experienced it. The excruciating pain I had just endured almost suffocated me. What Pei Mo is going through now is 1,000 times worse than what I felt. He knows I'm about to leave, he wants me to stay. A wave of bitterness rose in my heart, but the next second, I wiped away the unshed tears at the corner of my eyes and resolutely turned to look at Xiaoqiu. "Can't wait any longer, summon the thunder. Pei Mo is too fast and too determined. I'm afraid before the thunderclouds naturally descend, he will be upon us," so we decided to trigger the lightning in advance. Once the lightning tribulation begins, he will no longer be able to approach, then we can ascend peacefully. Xiaoqiu and I exchanged a glance and nodded in unison. We knew from the moment we transmigrated here that the reward for completing the mission was ascension. Ascension requires passing through the heavenly tribulation. We were worried something might go wrong, so we kept preparing the things needed for the lightning tribulation. Later, we actually developed feelings for them, and these things were set aside. Before setting out this time, we dug these things out again. Among them was the magical tool used to summon lightning. It finally came in handy. We successfully summoned the lightning before Pei Mo arrived. Dark purple clouds loomed over our heads, and in the blink of an eye, a golden bolt of lightning struck down. The golden lightning roared down at us like a crimson gold dragon. A long-lost sense of unease crept into my heart. Xiaoqiu and I exchanged a glance, both seeing shock and doubt in each other's eyes. Something's wrong. We simultaneously drew our defensive treasures to resist the lightning tribulation. With a boom, the magical treasure in our hands shattered into dust. Xiaoqiu's eyes were filled with shock. What about the system? Wasn't the system supposed to help us withstand the heavenly tribulation? My heart sank, and my tone turned grave. We've been deceived by the system. Not only would it not help us resist, but it intended to use the ascension tribulation to kill us. Xiaoqiu and I have been cultivating diligently for 100 years. Yet we only reached the nascent soul and golden core stages respectively. Without the system's help, how could we possibly withstand 10 heavenly tribulations? We shouldn't have been so careless. But ever since the first day we transmigrated here, the system has been guiding us all along. It only gave us one path, the walkthrough. To survive, we had no choice but to follow this path. Not even daring to doubt it, we thought that once the female lead appeared, we would at least have the option to ascend. Only now do we realize that the system never intended to let us live. The female lead has arrived, and it's time for the two of us, the inexplicably transmigrated imposters and unlucky souls, to wrap things up, completely and permanently. The good news is that Xiaoqiu and I prepared a lot of things to deal with the lightning tribulation early on. The bad news is, even with all these things, we still can't withstand 10 strikes of the lightning tribulation. We will turn into dust and scatter with the wind, just like the shield did moments ago. 3 more lightning strikes followed in quick succession, and the magical tools in our hands were nearly exhausted. Xiaoqiu counted the remaining tools in the storage pouch, her voice trembling. "Our tools are only enough to withstand up to the 7th lightning strike. What should we do? Just wait for death?" Almost in an instant, I made a decision. I pushed the storage bag into her arms. "Our magical tools aren't enough for both of us to survive, but they can at least protect one person. Xiaoqiu, you must live well." I looked into her eyes with utmost seriousness. "You are the best friend I've ever had in my life, and you always will be. If only one of us can survive. I hope it's you, Wen Yun. You must not speak recklessly." Xiaoqiu grabbed my wrist, shaking her head in a panic. "Didn't we agree to ascend together and enjoy happiness? Only if you ascend will I ascend too. What's the point of enjoying happiness alone if you're not by my side? Alright, stop being coy." I took out the immortal binding rope to restrain her, then arranged the magical artifacts in a formation to protect her. Only after ensuring everything was foolproof did I slowly step back. This way, with the heavenly tribulation split into two streams, Xiaoqiu would definitely survive. Boom, as the lightning struck, in a daze, an intense burning sensation spread throughout my entire body. Wen Yun, you are not allowed to die. Xiaoqiu's voice seemed to come from a very distant place. I grinned in response. I won't die. Do you think my nascent soul cultivation was just blown in by the wind? I glanced at Xiaoqiu, then struggled to prop myself up and turned to look beyond the lightning tribulation. That dark figure, who knows how long it had been standing there. Damn Peimo, that bastard. When I asked you, you hesitated. Now you come here pretending to be all sentimental. I muttered curses under my breath, then let out a soft sigh. Forget it. Since I'm about to die, I'll just consider it as forgiving you. Hurry up and get lost. Or do you want the spiritual energy of Chenyu Mountain to torment you to death? I will only die by your hand. Peimo's voice sounded in my ear. I froze for a moment, rubbing my eyes. Peimo actually broke through the lightning tribulation's barrier and walked toward me. Does he want to die? Get out. I propped myself up and stepped back, one step at a time. Peimo held me tightly, disregarding everything else. The moment he pressed me into his embrace, Peimo let out a satisfied sigh. I've missed you so much. It's only been 4 hours since we last saw each other. Do you have some kind of skin hunger disorder? For heaven's sake. I gnashed my teeth in anger. His body was riddled with blooded holes pierced by spiritual energy, the smell of blood almost overpowering the scent of cliff cypress incense on him. The sixth heavenly tribulation was about to strike, and I cursed with every vile word I had ever known, yet he still did not let go. The tribulation struck. But it was he who took the lightning for me. The smell of scorched flesh emitted a horrifying stench. My throat felt as if something was stuck in it, sour and bitter. Why did you stop talking? I love listening to you. Say more. Peimo rested his head on my shoulder, nuzzling my neck with the tip of his nose. I want to remember every sweet word you say, engrave them into every one of my magical artifacts, and look at them 10,000 times a day. I love you so much, Wen Yun. Even if you're going to leave me, I can't bear to see you die. What should I do? The seventh heavenly tribulation struck, and Peimo spat out a mouthful of black blood. He wiped the corner of his mouth and forced a miserable smile. Seeing how pitiful I am, will you stay? I opened my mouth. Playing the victim won't work. If you knew it would come to this, why did you do it in the first place? The eighth heavenly tribulation struck. Peimo's demonic energy was leaking from his body. He was at the end of his rope. He changed from his previous grievance, his eyes filled with complexity. Do you really not believe me? Once I resolve everything, you will know the truth. I looked at him calmly. Peimo, do you think of me as your pet? After 100 years together, you know exactly what kind of person I am. I don't need you to go easy on me, nor do I need you to protect me like a delicate flower. I want to share both joy and hardship with you. To face all the challenges we encounter together, just like when we first met. The system wants me to play the delicate, innocent flower to win over Peimo, but I can't do it. I can't learn to live like a dodder vine, clinging to others for survival. If I must win over Peimo and make him fall in love with me, I need to have the same strength to stand by his side. In both life and love, I will never be the weak one. Yet Peimo seems unaware of this. Even though it was my personality that made him fall for me in the first place, but he has lived too long, been a leader and a controller for too many years. For a long time after stepping into love, he was still accustomed to protecting me in every way. It seemed that only in this way could he prove his love for me and feel at ease. It's okay, I have enough patience and confidence to slowly change him. I stayed by his side as he requested, through wind and rain. When he went out, I would stay near the temporary cave dwelling, waiting for him to return, so he could always be sure of my safety. From initially staying only in the cave dwelling, to later going out together with Xiaoqiu, and then accompanying him in his tasks, I gradually changed him, using my actions to show him I am a partner who can fight alongside him. Even without his protection, I can survive and stay by his side forever. It's a pity there wasn't enough time. Peimo remained stubborn and obsessive at his core. Perhaps he had no feelings for Ling Yaoa, but there must have been secrets between them. He wanted to face this secret alone. Without my help, he protected me, yet he also turned his back on me. I don't need your protection, Peimo. I want to be your true Dao companion, not your pet. Perhaps I've been wrong all along. The kind of feelings I want could never exist between us. Peimo looked stunned, his pupils trembling slightly. Stop saying that. I stared into his eyes, each word cutting like a knife. I never should have tried to win you over from the start. If it weren't for staying alive, who in their right mind would want to be with someone like you? Peimo stiffened all over. his arms that were tightly holding me loosening their grip. Just as I was about to seize the chance to break free from his embrace, he held me even tighter, tighter than the last time, as the ninth heavenly tribulation struck. His voice grew extremely faint. "I don't believe it. You must love me so much that you can't bear to let me die with you." I closed my eyes, the final lightning strike descended, and Pei Mo slipped from my body. There wasn't a single part of him left unscathed, his breath almost non-existent. I even think he might already be dead. Xiao Qiu's voice came from not far away. "We did it. Wen Yun," she cried, tears of joy. "We survived." As soon as the words left her mouth, her body began to turn transparent. This is the sign of ascension. I lowered my head to look at my own body, which was also beginning to turn transparent. We really succeeded. Xiao Qiu was protected by the magical artifact and withstood the heavenly tribulation, and Pei Mo withstood 5 thunder tribulations for me, in a place like Tianyu Mountain. Suddenly, my little finger seemed to be hooked by something. I looked down, it was Pei Mo. "Live well, don't go," my choked voice escaped almost simultaneously with Pei Mo's plea. Unable to move, Pei Mo used his last ounce of strength to desperately cling to my pinky finger. "Please, don't leave me. You don't like how I am. I'll change. I'll tell you everything. I won't hide anything from you anymore. Wen Yun, please don't leave me." I had never seen Pei Mo like this before. In my memory, from the very first time I saw him, he had an air of superiority. Later, when we became cultivation partners, he added an infuriatingly clingy rogue charm to his demeanor. But no matter what, he had never been like this before, as if the most devout believer offering up his own life, pleading with utter desperation. "Pei Mo, let go. Xiao Qiu and I have successfully ascended. The upper realm is different from the lower realm. Here, there are endless delicacies, more abundant and purer spiritual energy, and cultivation is naturally much easier than in the lower realm." On the day we ascended, we were warmly welcomed. Dozens of sects invited us to join. Xiao Qiu and I had only one question: which sect is the most fun? In the end, we chose the Swayan sect. True to its name, it's a carefree and easygoing sect that goes with the flow. As long as we don't fight for the position of sect leader, we can do whatever we want. Xiao Qiu and I ate and drank every day, truly experiencing what freedom feels like. No one bothered us. Because the sect leader said we would eventually get tired of playing on our own, every newly ascended cultivator gets a few hundred years of rest, commonly known as a gap. They may have just lost their partners, or perhaps they have always been single. In 99% of cases, they lose all their loved ones and friends, facing the unknown life in the upper realm alone. After this period, we will feel bored and naturally enter the next stage of cultivation, cultivating to transcend time and control it. I feel that I am still far from entering the next stage, because Xiao Qiu and I have been playing together for 100 years. It's just not enough. Maybe I'd get bored if I were alone, but who says I don't have a great best friend? Let me tell you, yesterday was just so ridiculous, Xiao Qiu muttered under her breath while rolling her eyes. I joined her in venting my righteous indignation. After venting, we felt refreshed and went shopping. Newcomers appear here from time to time, all from different lower realms, so they're all unfamiliar faces. Xiao Qiu and I are slowly moving on from our last relationship and have recently started meeting new people. They say the best way to get over a relationship is to start a new one. That makes sense, but some memories are just too deep to shake off. Xiao Qiu seems to be handling it better than I expected. Every time Lanfeng is mentioned, Xiao Qiu sneers coldly. "Pei Mo still knows to come looking for you, but what about him?" At the very last moment of ascension, Xiao Qiu was still gazing into the distance. Perhaps Lanfeng would appear, but Lanfeng did not. Xiao Qiu harbored resentment in her heart, but she never spoke of it. Perhaps trying hard to forget Lanfeng was also a silent way of venting her resentment. In the blink of an eye, 200 years had passed in the upper realm. True feelings withstand the test of time. Xiao Qiu and I are even closer than before. That day, we heard that 2 handsome male cultivators had newly ascended from the lower realm. The sect leader felt that the gender imbalance in the sect was severe and decided to send someone to recruit new members. Everyone was too carefree and unwilling to go. Xiao Qiu and I exchanged a glance and immediately agreed to go together. "Leader, leave this tough task to us." Xiao Qiu and I eagerly rushed over, and just as we were about to arrive, we encountered another sect also on their way to recruit new members. I casually asked, "Fellow cultivator, do you know which lower realm this newcomer ascended from?" The other person scratched their head. "I heard it's a novel world. It's quite rare for such a thin world to have someone ascend. The last ascension was said to be 200 years ago." We suddenly had an ominous premonition. This premonition came true when we saw those two, one dressed in white, like a flower on a high peak, one entirely in black, exuding a dangerous aura of keep away, and those two faces, so familiar they couldn't be more so, Lan Feng, Pei Mo. I glanced at Xiao Qiu, and Xiao Qiu looked back at me. We both blurted out the same word, run. Honestly, I didn't even know why we were running, but seeing someone familiar here felt just too strange. Especially when it's an acquaintance with whom we once shared deep feelings. It wasn't until after we ascended that we learned most of the lower realms actually exist, while a small portion are cultivation worlds constructed from novels. However, the spiritual energy in those cultivation worlds is too sparse, and very few cultivators manage to successfully ascend. Xiao Qiu and I cheated our way up, but they were both genuine locals, so one can imagine how much effort they had put in. Xiao Qiu and I ran for a while, then gradually slowed to a stop. Maybe they've already forgotten about us, I tentatively suggested. Xiao Qiu also nodded with a serious expression. That makes a lot of sense. Besides, it was Lang Feng who wronged me back then, not the other way around. If anyone should run, it shouldn't be us. We both nodded repeatedly, completely agreeing. Xiao Qiu, in the blink of an eye, a figure dressed in white suddenly appeared before us. I've been looking for you for so long. The aloof beauty seemed like a shattered white lotus, her voice carrying a fragile vulnerability that felt as if it could break at any moment. Fake. If I hadn't seen Lan Feng crush a giant demonic beast with her bare hands before, I would have believed it. But Xiao Qiu just fell for it. No matter how much she had scolded Lan Feng before, seeing him in such a fragile state, Xiao Qiu couldn't bring herself to walk away. Damn white lotus. I muttered under my breath. However, the next second, a long-lost yet familiar scent slowly enveloped my body. My body, which hadn't experienced such empathy in a long time, suddenly became sensitive. I could feel the violent beating of his heart, his extreme mental excitement, and uncontrollable heat sprayed by my ear. Long time no see. When Yoon, I drew my dagger and spun around sharply, but he didn't even try to dodge, allowing the tip of the blade to pierce his chest. He raised his hands and moved toward me, meeting the dagger head-on. The dagger sank completely into his chest, yet he smiled warmly and pressed a kiss to my lips. How nostalgic. It's been a long time since I was killed by Wen Yun. I pushed his face away in disgust. Too bad you just won't die no matter how many times I kill you. I told you, I'll only die by your hand. How could I dare to die on my own before finding you? I stared at him for a long while. After 200 years apart, he seemed to have changed a lot, yet somehow remained the same. The love in his eyes seemed to have grown even deeper and more unfathomable. I couldn't change him back then. Can I even do it now? Seeing that I was about to leave, he blocked my way. I was wrong. Give me one last chance, and I'll explain everything to you. Pei Mo finally got serious for once, holding my hand, his eyes no longer playful. This time, you must believe me. For I have reflected for 200 years. I saw the world you once lived in, saw what you were like before you met me. He raised his hand, tracing the outline of my face, his expression somewhat dazed. Though you had no cultivation, you were so free and happy in your world, just like the way you were when we first met. I love you just the way you are, yet I'm the one who changed you. Loving someone isn't about keeping them in a cage, but letting them soar freely. I failed at that. But you succeeded. Pei Mo held my hand, tracing it inch by inch, his voice tinged with a bitter plea. Give me one more chance, okay? Even if you already have a new partner, I don't care, as long as I can stay by your side. This time, let me accompany you. Wherever you go, whatever you do, I'll be with you. I silently stared at him, my lips parting slightly. Pei Mo immediately leaned down and kissed me. The unspoken idiot was swallowed back. Forget it, I'll say it another time. We still have plenty of time. Extra chapter. Pei Mo had lived for thousands of years. He had no desire to ascend to immortality, and he couldn't even remember his own origins. He thought he would muddle through the rest of his life in a haze of slaughter, until a patch of wild grass appeared in his line of sight. Yes, Pei Mo felt that Wen Yun was like a patch of wild grass, unkillable, unbreakable. Just like him, fresh out of the gate, she dared to challenge him with a long blade. Only to be beaten to within an inch of her life, then dragged away by another rookie. Next time, she came back with a long sword to challenge him again. As expected, she was beaten half to death and dragged away by the same people again. He couldn't remember how many times it had repeated. This clump of wild grass had somehow rolled into his memory. He began to remember what that clump of grass looked like. Her hair was tied up high, and she wore red clothes. He was left-handed and liked to attach tassels to his weapons, and there was a small mole under his eye. This was what he noticed when Wenyun switched to a dagger to challenge him. Too close. Wenyun stood right in front of him, gritting her teeth and telling him to die. He had heard these words countless times. The righteous and the wicked alike cursed him to die. Only Wenyun's words sounded like a farewell, I will be back. And the next time, she truly did return. By the time Pei Mo realized what had happened, he could no longer forget Wenyun. He still remembered the moment Wenyun successfully plunged the dagger into his heart, that smug expression on her face. Dog, did you lose focus? You couldn't have fallen in love with me, could you? Pei Mo fell silent. In the blink of an eye, decades had passed with Wenyun. He learned that Wenyun disliked red clothes. It's just that the red clothes wouldn't show the bloodstains. So her friend wouldn't be as worried. He learned that her friend was called Xiao Qiu, her very best friend. He learned that all the tassels on the weapons were woven by Xiao Qiu for Wenyun. He began to feel a bit of dislike for Xiao Qiu. Wenyun said proudly again, learn from this. What you're feeling is called jealousy. Pei Mo touched his sour and achy heart. Truly jealous. He had lived for thousands of years. Yet in just 100 years, Wenyun had taught him all about emotions. By understanding Wenyun, he began to understand himself. He learned to express his emotions, learned to cling to Wenyun, and discovered how useful a skill it was to be shameless and brazen. Wenyun said he lacked the airs of a demon lord who on earth would want such airs. He only needed Wenyun. He thought they would continue like this, until a woman appeared. Her name is Ling Yaroa. From the moment she appeared, Pei Mo knew something was wrong. Pei Mo couldn't help but want to get closer to her. Couldn't help but want to be madly infatuated with her, to give her everything, to kill everyone in the world for her. But Pei Mo had long discovered, through his time with Wenyun, that he didn't actually like killing. He took the opportunity when Ling Yaroa touched him to search her soul. What modern era? What transmigrating into a book even after living for 1,000 years? He couldn't process it all at once. Why was he a character in a book? Why was he destined to fall in love with Ling Yaroa? Why is Ling Yaroa the core of this world? Without her, would the entire world collapse? He urgently returned to the cave dwelling, wanting to ask Wenyun if she truly existed. But when Wenyun looked at him, he panicked. Before this, he had hardly encountered any difficulties. He had never shown his vulnerability and confusion to Wenyun. The feeling of losing control and not being able to manage everything made him somewhat flustered. He didn't want to appear so weak in front of Wenyun. He wanted to handle it on his own. Unfortunately, he made the wrong choice. He desperately tried to hold her back, pleadingly tugging at Wenyun's little finger. But Wenyun told him to let go. Wenyun left, and he lay on Tianyu Mountain waiting to die, until Lan Feng came and dragged him away. Lan Feng pointed at Ling Yaroa, who had been tortured beyond recognition, and said expressionlessly, didn't we agree to interrogate her together? Wenyun is gone, and your Xiao Qiu is gone too. We wanted to uncover the truth and present it to them, but we forgot they could fight alongside us. Pei Mo murmured, repeating the words Wenyun had left for him. He suddenly drew his long sword and pressed it against Ling Yaroa's neck. How can I see her? Tell me the truth, and I'll make it quick for you. Ling Yaroa burst into a cold laugh. They were lucky to survive, but you will never see them again. You are just characters in a book. Not living people. You can never ascend to immortality. Besides, they have no feelings for you. They are just like me, players. They were only brought here because of a system error. You think they really have any feelings for you? Before the words could even finish, Ling Yao's head had already hit the ground. Annoying. Pei Mo calmly withdrew his hand. Perhaps he was just a character before, but from the moment Wenyun appeared, he began to slowly take on substance. He must ascend to immortality. Lan Feng's voice was cold and clear. So, Xiao Qiu and Wenyun really are strategists. Pei Mo turned to look at him. Do you doubt their feelings? Lan Feng shot him an exasperated glance. I mean, if we don't hurry and ascend, they might end up pursuing someone else. Pei Mo's face darkened. The two speculated that it was probably because the female lead was no longer the only true person in this world. He spent 200 years reflecting on his mistakes and his past lack of appreciation. Only then did he realize how many times Wenyun had swallowed her pride for him. He had thought Wenyun might forget him, or even resent him. All these worries vanished the moment he saw the look in Wenyun's eyes. Wenyun still had him in her heart, he knew it. He just didn't know if Wenyun had any other scoundrels in her heart. In the 200 years he spent with Lan Feng, he had learned a thing or two. Holding Wenyun's hand, he spoke his heart in a tone that would break any woman's heart. But when Wenyun was about to answer, he couldn't help but silence her with a kiss. What if there really is someone else? Pei Mo thought for a moment. It doesn't matter, he wasn't going to let go anyway. The end.